All right, so get ready because it's this deep dive. It's a doozy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, someone sent in this YouTube video, and
Okay.
it's this Professor Velikovsky,
Mm-hmm.
and he calls himself a meta scientist.
Okay.
So right away, I'm intrigued.
Right.
And he's talking about this thing called evolutionary culturology,
Okay.
EvCult for short.
Catchy.
And let me tell you, this is some next level thinking.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because when I was looking at this, it's like he's really trying to find a way to explain everything in the universe.
Well, he calls it a theory of everything. So
Yeah, like from the smallest particle to like the largest galaxy.
Right.
And he wants to do it all through this lens of culture and information.
yeah, I mean, you say meta scientist and theory of everything right off the bat, and I'm like, all right, I'm interested, but there's a lot to unpack.
It really is.
Where do we even begin with something like this?
Well, he starts by like organizing all the different areas of science,
Okay.
even the arts,
Mm-hmm.
into this hierarchy.
Right.
And EvCult sits right at the top.
So it's like the meta science.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of like physics over here and biology over there,
Yeah.
EvCult is like the giant umbrella that covers everything.
The umbrella discipline.
That's ambitious.
It's very ambitious. And, one little detail I found interesting, he points out that the first international conference for systems science,
Oh, wow.
which, a lot of people think is a fairly new field,
All right.
actually happened all the way back in 1955.
Oh, wow.
So it just shows how this understanding of interconnectedness has been developing for a while. Well, that's a good point, because I think sometimes we tend to think of some of these ideas or disciplines as being very new, but they've actually been germinating for quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did lose me a little bit at fractal Holon-Parton.
Yeah.
That sounds like something out of Star Trek.
It does sound a bit intimidating at first, but it's actually a really simple idea.
Okay.
Basically, it's this. A fractal Holon-Parton is a part that is also a whole repeating at different scales.
Okay.
Like, those Russian nesting dolls?
Yeah.
Each doll is a whole unit, but it's also part of a larger one.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get it. So like
Yeah.
a single cell is a whole, but it's also part of an organ, which is part of a body.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he uses some really striking visuals in the video to demonstrate this. He shows these sawfly larvae, and they group together to form the shape of a bigger caterpillar.
Wow.
And then he shows birds flocking in a way that it creates this silhouette of a giant bird.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, these fractal Holon-Partons are everywhere.
I'm going to be seeing fractal Holon-Partons everywhere now.
That's the point.
Oh, no.
To start seeing the world through this lens of interconnectedness and repeating patterns, it's really a framework that he thinks you could apply to anything.
So the cells in my body, the branches of a tree, the way that traffic patterns work,
Yeah,
it's all Holon-Partons.
potentially.
Okay. All right. I'm on board with that.
Okay.
But how do these Holon-Partons actually work? Are there rules?
There are. He proposes 3 fundamental laws that govern these Holon-Partons. And get this, he thinks that these laws apply to everything in the universe.
Not just the Holon-Partons.
Not just the Holon-Partons, but everything.
Right. Lay it on me.
All right, so the first law is integration upwards,
Oh.
which means smaller units combine to form larger ones.
Okay.
So you can think about atoms forming molecules,
Right.
people coming together to form a society.
Makes sense. What's the second law?
The second law is competition and cooperation sideways.
Okay.
So this means units on the same level are interacting with each other.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're competing for resources, sometimes they're cooperating for a common good.
Right.
Think about different species in an ecosystem.
Right.
Businesses competing in a marketplace.
They've got to find their space.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes sense. What's the third law?
The third law is command and control downwards.
Ooh, I like it already.
Yeah, so larger units influence the smaller units within them.
Okay.
A simple example is our solar system, right?
Yeah.
The sun's gravity dictates the orbits of the planets.
Right. It's all controlled from above.
Exactly.
Okay. I see how all of those kind of fit together.
Mhm.
So these Holon-Partons, they're constantly integrating upwards.
Yes.
They're competing sideways.
competing and cooperating.
Oh, right. Of course. And being controlled downwards.
Exactly.
There's a lot of action.
It is a lot of action, but remember, these laws, they're not operating in isolation.
Right.
They're all intertwined, and they're creating this complex and dynamic dance of existence.
Oh, man.
And that's where things get even more interesting.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
What other mind-bending idea is he going to throw at us?
He connects all of this back to information.
Okay.
Velikovsky argues that information in all its different forms is basically the same thing as culture.
Wait, so information equals culture.
Yeah.
How does he explain that?
He builds on the work of physicist John Archibald Wheeler,
Okay.
who came up with this concept of it from bit.
It from bit.
Yes.
Hmm.
And it suggests that everything we experience as physical reality emerges from information.
Okay.
It's a very heady concept.
Yeah.
But essentially it suggests that at the most fundamental level, everything is information.
So if everything is information
Yeah.
and culture is information,
Yep.
then everything is culture.
You got it. And that's where he makes this huge leap.
Okay.
He applies this framework not just to like scientific disciplines, but to storytelling as well.
No, that's a twist I was not expecting. We're going from protons and planets to stories.
Yeah.
All right, tell me more. So we're going from like the entire universe to Shakespeare in like one episode. I love it.
It's a lot to cover.
It is, but this is why we do the deep dives.
Exactly.
So how does he connect this whole idea of information as culture to something like storytelling?
Well, he believes that he's like uncovered this basic building block of any story.
Okay.
And he calls it the Nareem.
The Nareem.
Yeah, and he says that it acts just like those fractal holon partons.
So you're saying just as like cells build up organs and organs build up bodies,
Yeah.
there are these smaller units of a story that build up to make a whole narrative.
Exactly. And just like those biological examples,
Okay.
he says these narrative units also follow those 3 laws of fractal holon partons:
Oh, wow. Okay.
integration, competition, and command and control.
Okay, you've officially blown my mind. So break it down for me. How do these narrative units actually work? How would we see them in action?
Well, he identifies these several layers of structure within a story.
Okay.
So think of it like this.
Uh-huh.
At the most basic level, you have like a single action,
Yeah.
a simple event.
Okay.
And then these actions combine to create larger units like a scene.
Mm.
And then scenes group together to form sequences,
Right.
which build towards acts.
Okay.
And eventually you have your complete story.
So even a seemingly insignificant action in a story is like a Holland Parton.
Yes.
It's a complete unit in itself,
Yeah,
but it's also part of something much bigger.
exactly. And each layer of that narrative structure,
Mhm.
from the smallest action to the entire story, operates according to those 3 laws.
Wow.
They integrate upwards.
Right.
They're competing or cooperating on their own level,
Mm.
and they're being influenced by those larger units above them.
Okay, I need to bring this back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
How does understanding this framework actually help us, like, understand the stories we encounter every single day?
That's a great question.
Like, I love the theory, but how do we actually use it?
Well, think about how we usually analyze stories, right?
Okay.
We talk about plot points and rising action and a climax and a resolution.
Right.
All of those are just labels for those larger narrative structures,
Okay.
but they're all made up of these smaller units
Right.
that are constantly interacting according to those 3 laws.
So it's like we're seeing the finished product, but we're not really thinking about all of the little pieces that go into it.
Yeah, and by recognizing those patterns, by
Mhm.
seeing those building blocks, we get a much deeper appreciation for how stories are put together
Okay.
and how they hook us in.
I like it. It's like having X-ray vision for storytelling.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
And the really wild part is he thinks you can apply this to any kind of story.
Okay.
Books, movies, plays, even just the stories we tell each other in everyday life.
So when I'm watching like the latest blockbuster or I'm listening to my friend tell me a story about their day,
Yeah.
I'm tapping into these same universal patterns,
Potentially.
even if I don't realize it.
Yeah. And by becoming aware of those patterns, we can not only like deepen our enjoyment of stories,
Yeah.
but we can become better storytellers ourselves.
That's really cool. I like that.
Maybe you're a little bit more curious now about how everything around you connects.
So the next time you're looking up at the stars
Yeah.
or looking down at an anthill,
Or just looking at traffic patterns.
right.
Yeah.
Think back to Professor Velikovsky.
Think about those fractal holon partons.
Exactly. You might just be surprised at what you start to notice.
Who knows? Maybe you'll come up with your own theory of everything.
Maybe you will. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But remember, the conversation doesn't have to end here. What did you think of Velikovsky's ideas? Head over to our website or find us on social media and let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.